Well, the kids are starting to get their licenses, so I got them a brand new 2005 Avalon with low mileage and no rust. On the top anyway. It's been pretty good for the last year or so teaching them to drive. Now the first one's got his license installed at the corner and the AC compressor locked up. So I've found scarce little information online about this. There's one video of an older Avalon with a 3-liter where the guy is able to take the alternator out and get it out up here without moving anything. I've seen videos of this generation with the radiator out, sitting on the ground just to change the alternator. Anyway, I'm just going to give it a try, and we'll see if this can be done, and then if it can or if it can't, somebody else is in this pickle, they'll have an answer. I've changed plenty of compressors before on full-size GMs, and that's nothing. It's usually just, first of all, the engine's the right way instead of this way, and it's usually sitting right up on top if it's a truck or over there, or a little bit down if it's a car, but you got like a foot of space in here, so it doesn't matter. It's going to be a new one. I didn't really want to do this, but again, it's a long weekend, and it's about a 2-week wait to get into a garage in our town, so we're going to give her a go. Start by removing the negative battery terminal, of course. That's a 10mm wrench, and we'll just pull that off and stick it right here so that eventually, when we're not suspecting it, it'll just come back up and gradually touch. Maybe we'll stick it down beside it here. That's better. And you know, come to think of it while we're at it, let's just disconnect the positive also, just in case that happens to fly up and touch the post, and also just give us an opportunity to inspect these. Haven't really looked at these except right when I bought the car, and give them a clean up and a tighten. Next we'll take this off, which I believe is a 10mm, though it looks smaller than that. It's a 10. Put that bolt back on when you're done, where we're using this alternator, and yes, it's probably the only one that size, but just makes it dummy proof. Next we'll take this off, just squeeze the side and pull, there. That should be it for the alternator. I'm pretty sure this is going to have to come off up here also, so we'll take that off. Probably just keep the clip on and take the bolt off. That is also a 10mm. It's about a 9mm now. Now from here I can see that this same harness is going to the compressor, and there's a little tab where it sticks through this bracket, on the nice rusty bracket on the bracket of the compressor. I'm thinking removing that little bracket's not actually, well, that will help me a little bit. So perhaps we're going to take that off and just undo this since I can reach it, make it easier to get the alternator out. So I got this little bolt out. It's about a 9.5mm now. It's out. While I was at it, I got out the old special refrigerant recovery machine, and I realized that there is actually no refrigerant left in this. It's at 1 atmosphere. So whatever happened, and I'm not just saying that, it actually is, whatever happened when the compressor seized up, she lost all the Freon. So hopefully there's no other hiccups. So I was able to pull this right over on this little clip for the engine cover, so this looks pretty good to me. I got to first of all get the tensioner, which is I believe a 14mm bolt, take the tension off, pull the belt off, and try not to lose the belt, because I don't want to try and fish it all the way through, and then find the lower 14mm on the other side of this one down under there. Let's go ahead and tell you, this is just plain rude, and I can tell that the rest of it's going to be like that. Can't get any ratchet I have with a socket on it down to that tensioner. And I can tell it's better with the alternator and the compressor, I think. I can have more room, but that tensioner is actually difficult. I've seen guys use like a flat bar to get down there. I don't have a flex head wrench, or a flex head ratchet, so I'm going to try a ratcheting wrench, see if I can get my mitt down there. Okay, I can budge it, but unfortunately where my wrench ends up is right where the alternator pulley is. This is not going to be fun. I thought I'd be able to loosen this adjuster here and push it in, but it's not an adjuster at all. All the new cars, it seems like they pretty much can't work on them unless you've got a hoist. Everything's supposed to come out the bottom, but this one's just old enough that maybe they're thinking just a little bit about the guy trying to work on it in his driveway. Well, I simply cannot get my wrench in there. I can, but the only place I get my hand, the wrench is immediately in front of the alternator pulley, so I can't get the belt off. So I may have to weld up a custom tool, I guess. I don't have a welder. I do know how to weld, sort of. I'd like to get one, but my garage is too full of junk. We'll try this. Success. Duct tape to the rescue. Unfortunately, can't get it out now because the tension's taken up in that belt. Here, we're just going to worry about that later because it's on the other side of this rad hose. I think I should be okay. 14 mil here, 14 mil over there, which is going to be right in the way of this. Ah, I see now. There, problem solved. Got this nicely tied up with a rope there, so we'll just release whenever it feels like it and whack me right in the head when I'm down in here. But I've been turning on that alternator bolt, the rear one, for about 5 minutes, and I'm only a quarter of the way out. You only have about this much travel on your wrench from up there, so I think I'm going to go ahead and jack this up, take the wheel off, and see what kind of access I get from removing this little panel. I always like to use a hockey puck on my floor jack. We're still on air around here. Love one of those fancy impacts, electric impacts, but I just don't use it enough. Like I said, that I just had these off last week doing the brakes. So, get the wheel off. There's two little 10 millimeter bolts up there to take this cover off. Apparently it's not that big, but might be just enough. Well, I think I can confidently say it's going to do next to nothing for me. Can't even see any of the bolts from here. Okay, so I managed to get the lower alternator bolt off, and the upper moves, but it just will not come out. Don't forget this. There's a little bolt down here. You see this bolt right there. If you find that bolt on the compressor, it's right above it, up in here. Let's try and shine a light on it. Can you see it in there? There's the compressor bolt. There's one little bolt in there that's attached to the back of the darn alternator. You've got to take that out. It's 12 millimeter. Well, I can confirm the alternator does come out the top. It's tight though. It's quite tight, but it does come out. It's the original Denso alternator. Feels fine. I should probably change it, but again, long weekend. No way to get one. I didn't think it got any oil in it, but looking at the back of it here, it definitely got some oil on it. Perhaps a little bit in it there, so I'm not sure. We'll think about that, see how it goes today. If it takes me the rest of the day to get this part done, I may try and grab one tomorrow and put it in. But one thing I didn't mention, I took the overflow hose off of here, and that's all I had to remove other than moving this over to get the alternator out. I think the compressor should come out just fine. I got this little clip here off of this bracket. I removed this bracket from the compressor and then realized that this comes with the new one. The only thing you have to worry about, the new one will have this on it already attached. Only connections you have is this and one right there. A little plug on the side. So here's the new one. Put it in the same orientation. About like this. There's that lower one that's already on there. So here's the plug. These two are already pre-connected, and then this compressor is pre-charged with proper amount of lubricant, so they say. So we're just gonna go with that. I've got 3 bolts out already. These are easy, 12 millimeters. Save the easiest one for the last. And they all come out easy thanks to the valve cover gasket leak. We'll deal with that later. And we're gonna give it a try and get her out. I think it should come out through here. It's not as big around as the alternator. It's longer, but I think it's gonna work. Make sure nothing's still attached. Nope, nothing's attached. Oh, that came out like nothing. Now I think while I got this wide open, I'm going to change my O-rings on the refrigerant lines and put the new compressor in, attach the lower refrigerant line, leave the upper one off because it kind of gets in the way of the alternator. So here's an alternator bracket down there. It looks just fine like this. If you just had to put the alternator in like that, it wouldn't be so bad, but it's just, this is my biggest concern here, is getting this in, but since this is not actually an adjustment at all, it should slide perfectly in there if I just do this top one. And of course there's this little sucker down here Alright, so just replace the O-rings. I used to have one of the thingamjiggers for that, but can't find it, so I just use the end of my test light. And I don't have any refrigerant oil. Of course, it's a long weekend, so I just use a little bit of my vacuum pump oil. That should be okay for the O-rings. And what I'm going to do, I think, I got the new one right here. This has the oil already in it. I don't want to mess that up, so I think I'm just going to loosen these. And since I'm going to put it on its back and sideways to get it in there, I'll just loosen these and then take them off once it's mounted. And then I'm going to put this refrigerant fitting on, leave this one open until I get the alternator in, and then put it in, I believe. Okay, the compressor's tightened down now. Just put this little connector on down here, and then we're going to put this connector on here, into that, and then we're going to use this little spot here to tuck this into. Also, this was not put into its clip when it came, so I put that in its clip so it doesn't go get caught in the belt. Alright, so the compressor is buttoned in. Don't forget this little bracket that holds this harness goes in at the bottom. I'm leaving this off for now just to give me more room to get the alternator in once it's in here. Okay, the alternator is in, just not tight yet. The way I put it in was face down with this double side here that way and the other side this way. So face down, pulley facing down, this side over there. So essentially, if it's like this right now, I put it in like this and push the body of it that didn't have anything sticking out towards this to get it down. I just put in the top fitting on the compressor and this little tiny bolt in there. I used a long extension like this with the socket on it just to put it in by hand. I still have to tighten it. I got this bottom bolt started, I got the top bolt started. Tighten this up and then get the belt back on and we'll start getting ready to charge it. Okay, everything's back on, buttoned up, and I got the battery reconnected. I'm just going to start it, make sure the belt goes fine. It seems to be lined up just fine. Start it just for a minute and see how that goes, and then we'll put the suspension panel on the tire back on and start pulling the vacuum and charging the system. Alright, here's the moment of truth here. Small exhaust leak, but that's okay. Valve is still on. That's what we want. Now we've got it back on the ground. Don't forget to put the funny wheelie thing back in the glove box. That's really important. I don't know if you guys see what I forgot to do whenever I test fired the engine. I forgot to put the overflow back on. That's on. It's in its little channel. Okay, we're all buttoned up now. We got vacuum pulled. We got almost 2 cans of refrigerant in it. Start it up. I think I already turned the air conditioning back to normal, but I'm going to put it on high. High fan. And max. Hear it kick on. Nice and quiet. You see it running right there. In fact, thanks to the shutter speed, it looks like it's turning backwards. Fantastic. So, one more job done, and it is ice cold. Perfect.